Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for joining me for a restorative yoga class. Restorative yoga is all about rest, relaxation, versus some yoga classes are about, strengthening muscles or a deep stretch. Restorative yoga is really about using our body to relax our mind. So rather than practicing yoga postures in the spirit of, stretching my hamstring or strengthening my bicep, we're going to use yoga asanas, yoga postures as a tool for deeper relaxation, maybe letting go of some stuff that feels a little heavy right now, maybe breathing into, what feels right in our life. So it's floor-based. You can find yourself in a comfortable seated position. In this class a little bit later on, you might want some blankets or pillows. Do you like how I told you to sit down and then I was like, but wait, get up. If you don't have blankets or pillows, you might want to get blankets or pillows. You don't need any fancy yoga props, just some household blankets and pillows are great. And then find yourself in a comfortable seated position. You can sit crisscross applesauce or in Sukhasana with one foot in front of the other. You just want to start by sitting up nice and tall. Relax your shoulders, lift your chest, close your eyes, and take a breath. And before we begin class, if there's something that you would like restored in your life, maybe take a moment to name that. Could be a sense of peace or joy, or just letting go of your expectations for yourself, whatever that is that you would like to restore, maybe in your yoga practice, maybe outside of your yoga practice as well. This is a time you can kind of name that and hold it in your heart. I was talking with a friend recently who we were talking about how, yoga is not therapy and should never be used to replace licensed therapists. But he said, yoga to me isn't therapy, but yoga is where I get to practice what I learn in therapy, which I thought was so lovely. So regardless of if you're in therapy or not, just outside of yoga, if you were trying to practice, for example, putting less pressure on yourself, yoga is a really wonderful place to practice that. Or outside of yoga, if you're trying to be a little bit less reactive to people around you, yoga is a really safe space where you can be a little bit less reactive, whether it's to what's going on in your body or, maybe something I say that doesn't, make sense to you, right? If you're trying to be more joyful outside of yoga, yoga is a really nice place to practice that as well. So just think of, your time on your mat as a time to practice what fills you up, what's making you feel good in this moment, and also to practice letting go of those things that don't make sense for you right now. Okay. We're going to begin with a breathing exercise called 4-7-8 breathing. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed for the breathing exercise or do a soft fuzzy gaze just beyond the tip of your nose. So as the name implies, you're going to inhale through your nose for a count of 4. You're going to hold that breath for a count of 7, so you keep a lot of oxygen in your body. And then you're going to slowly exhale through your mouth for a count of 8. So the idea is you inhale fairly quick, you hold all that oxygen in the body, and then you slowly exhale. When we exhale longer than we inhale, it stimulates our parasympathetic nervous response, telling our body that there's no need to fight, flight, or freeze. I might take you a few rounds of 4-7-8 breathing to figure out how fast to inhale versus exhale. If after a few rounds you're still having trouble catching your breath, keep the ratio, but change it to a 2-second inhale, a 3.5-second hold, and a 4-second exhale. So you're still keeping the ratio, it's just not as long breaths. Okay, so sitting up tall, shoulders down, chest proud, jaw relaxed. Seal your lips, place your tongue at your palate, the roof of your mouth just behind your teeth. Relax your forehead and begin. Inhale to your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through your mouth. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through your nose for 4. Pause for 7. Keep your shoulders down, your chest proud, jaw relaxed. When you're ready, exhale through your mouth for 8. And use the count to focus your mind. Inhale for 4. Hold for 7 without tensing your shoulders. Exhale for 8. We'll do 2 more minutes of 4, 7, 8 breathing. If your mind is wandering, gently return your thoughts to the 4, 7, 8 count. Let's do one more full round of 4, 7, 8 breathing. Whenever you're ready, return your breath to normal, in and out through your nose. And I encourage you to breathe through your nose throughout class. This also helps to tell the central nervous system that it's safe, that there's no need to fight, flight, or freeze. Sometimes when we feel anxious, we try to use our mind to relax our body or our emotions, but actually, the more I practice yoga and other embodied mindfulness techniques, the more I realize that calming our body first then helps to calm our mind and our heart space, right? So rather than trying to convince yourself through your logic that everything is okay, you just take a few slow breaths through your nose. Usually the brain gets the hint that, you know what, everything is okay. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly open your eyes. Notice if you're leaning forward or leaning back. Try to sit up nice and tall. Evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones. Rock back and forth if that feels good. Then just really anchor your glutes down. Stretch your spine up. Drop your shoulders. You can place your hands on the outsides of your hips. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Stretch the crown of your head up to the ceiling. Slow exhale through your nose, tilt your right ear towards right shoulder, stretching your left side neck. And it's worth noting that I'm not mirroring you, so it might look like I'm moving my head to the left, when in fact I'm moving my head to the right. You are welcome to follow my words or my body movements either way. Just know that I will do the right side postures first, unless I forget, which sometimes happens. Drop your right ear towards your right shoulder, sink your shoulders down. When you're ready, slowly roll your head down, chin to chest. And this time, roll your left ear towards left shoulder, stretching the right side now. Now, right away, you might find that this side feels a little or a lot different. It does for me. We're not symmetrical. And nowhere in like ancient yogic Vedic texts does it say that yoga is about symmetry. Yoga is about self-realization, right? It's not even about the posture, it's about the body movements, right? These postures, asanas that we're doing are part of a larger circle of 8 limbs of yoga that really inform like a deep, nourishing mind-body connection. Slowly roll your head down, chin to chest, relax your jaw, but keep your chest lifted so it's just the neck spine moving at the beginning of class. It's gentle compression to the throat, extension through the cervical spine as you look down the center line of your body. Do keep your jaw relaxed. Sometimes when we tuck our chin to our chest, we have a tendency to tense the jaw. These two motions are connected, but they're actually not dependent on one another. You can tuck your chin to your chest and relax your jaw at the same time. For some of us, that might be a new neuromuscular pathway. So the first couple of times you try relaxing your jaw with your chin to your chest might feel weird. This is true throughout yoga in general. Often when we do something for the first time, it doesn't come naturally to us. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it or that we're bad at it. It just means that our mind and our body are taking a moment to sync up. When you're ready, slowly roll your head up, look straight ahead, and now start to lift your nose, lift your chin, looking up and back. It's worth noting that anytime we do a back bend, anytime we expose the front of our body, the central nervous system can turn on a little bit. So, when you're looking up towards the ceiling, or if you're ever doing a back bend and you start to feel a little bit stimulated, or you feel your heart rate increase, there's nothing wrong with you. If nobody's told you this yet today, there's nothing wrong with you. But there's also nothing wrong with you doing the posture. It's just the involuntary nervous system response to opening the front of the body. Especially in a world where we tend to hunch forward a lot, it might feel extra weird to look up and drop your head back, but it's actually really healthy for your spine. So look up, look back, never forcing the neck, but one day, head drops all the way back at the end. Good, slowly, carefully roll yourself back up, looking straight ahead. Inhale, stretch the crown of your head up to the ceiling. Exhale, look over your right shoulder and twist. Keep your shoulders and hips pointing forward, just the neck spine moving at the beginning of class. Notice if you start to tilt to the right, evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones, maybe even lean a little to the left. Look over your right shoulder, eventually bringing chin over shoulder, right ear to the wall behind you. Good, slowly, carefully unwind, take your time, no rush. Let's do the other side, inhale, lengthen. Connect your movement to your breath. On the breath out, look over left shoulder twist. So the spine moves in 6 different directions, right, left, backward, forward, twisting to each side. And we will do all of those multiple times today. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, look over left shoulder where eyes go, body knows to follow. Good, slowly, carefully unwind, no rush. Keep your left leg bent, take your right leg long out to the right. The wider you open the leg, the more you'll feel an inner thigh stretch. Take your right hand outside of your right thigh and reach your left arm long overhead, maybe coming down towards your right foot a little bit. It's a gentle stretch to the left side body, gentle compression to the right side body, not going to a point of pain or a point where you have to hold your breath. Remember that this is a restorative yoga class. It's not about getting the deepest stretch or toning the body. It's really not about the yoga postures at all. It's really about you just finding a little bit more stillness, a little bit more breath, a little bit more relaxation. Keep in mind that there's nothing to prove to yourself, to me, or to anyone else. All you have to do is breathe. Good, slowly come up. Let's do the other side. Left leg out, right leg in. Left hand outside of the left thigh and reach your right arm long overhead, coming down. Drop the shoulders, lengthen through the right arm. Try to aim your right fingertips and the crown of your head to the place where the ceiling and the left wall meet. Just a nice stretch to the right side body. right? Too much is too much, too little is too little. But for this class, you want to err on the side of doing a little bit less. Less is more. Good. Slowly come up. Keep your left leg long. This time, kick your right leg out. The wider you open your legs apart, the more you will feel an inner thigh stretch. The closer you bring your feet together, right, might be a little bit more accessible for folks with tight inner thighs for hips. As you're ready, you're going to start to walk your hands forward without rounding your spine. So you're going to stick your butt out a little bit, arch your spine. You can gently flex or point your toes so there's gentle activation in the feet. Shoulders back, chest forward. Lead with your heart, not your head. If you don't have a heart, lead with your lower ribs. Keep coming back to yoga. You will cry at some point. Okay, good. And slowly walk yourself back up. This time, bring your feet together. So when we open the legs, we stretch the inner thighs. When we bring the legs together, we stretch the backs of the legs. Inhale, sweep your arms long overhead. Exhale, fold forward, stick your butt out a little bit. Again, just stretching the spine, hinge at your hips. So from the side, you're not really rounding the back, you're just hinging. And this is just a little bit of a body movement warm up at the beginning of class. We're going to start to transition to longer held postures, but for now, we're just getting some motion in the body. Take an inhale. I don't know why I said body like that. Take an inhale to your nose. Slow exhale to your nose. Reconnecting back to your breath. As you're ready, slowly walk your hands back up and make your way into a seated position on your heels. This is going to be our first longer held posture of the day. It's a wide-legged child's pose, and I'm going to offer some prop modifications. If props will help you feel a little bit more restored and relaxed in the posture. So first of all, if you have trouble sitting on your heels, that's really normal. You can put as many blankets and pillows as you want between your calves and your hamstrings so that you feel a little bit more supported. From here, you can keep your feet together, but open your knees for a wide-legged child's pose and start to walk your hands forward, forehead to floor. So this is our wide-legged child's pose. Some other prop variations, and you don't need any fancy yoga props, just some household pillows or blankets, or none at all. You can also put some blankets under your chest. If reaching your arms forward does not feel good to your shoulders, you can also have your arms down by your side. And especially if you do have a pillow under your chest, you can keep your forehead on the floor, or you can look to one side. So I'm looking to the left with my right ear on the mat. If you also want to look to one side, I'll tell you when we're at the halfway point, so you can look to the other side. We're going to hold here for 2 more minutes. If what you're doing right now does not feel sustainable for 2 minutes, feel free to switch it up, grab some props, remove some props, just shift, maybe bringing your knees a little bit closer together or further apart, right? And the idea here is we're stretching through our toes, our ankles, our knees, and our hips. Especially when the knees are apart, you probably feel an inner thigh stretch as well. At the same time, we're lengthening through our spine. The arms are forward, getting a shoulder stretch, or if the arms are down, just keeping the shoulders soft. Notice where you might be holding on to tension in your body. Just let it go through the exhale breath. So in some styles of yoga, we're contracting muscles to hold the postures, right? Like balancing postures, strength postures. In this style of yoga, we want to relax muscles to get into the postures. So again, you don't need like the deepest stretch of all time. It's just about using the postures kind of as an outward symbol of like who you are, right? What you want restored in your life. And if you find, for example, that you're always kind of hard on yourself in your day-to-day life, let this be a place to practice being gentle with yourself. If you're looking to one side, gently lift your head and look to the other side as you breathe through your nose.
about 30 seconds left. Notice where you might still be holding on to some tension, whether it's tension in the physical body or maybe just a persistent worry or fear in your mind. This is an invitation just to let that go. So with every exhale breath, body gets a little heavier, spirit gets a little lighter. Breathing in and breathing out. If you're looking to one side, gently look forward. Place your hands on the floor below your shoulders and slowly press yourself up. There's no rush. Take all the time you want. Sitting up nice and tall here for a breath. And as you're ready, find your way onto your back for our first puddle pose or savasana of the day. So you can lie on your back with your arms and legs down. You can open your arms and legs as much as feels good. So in many styles of yoga, this is called savasana or corpse pose. In yin yoga, restorative yoga that we're doing today, this is often called puddle pose, like a puddle on a rainy day. The idea is you can kind of relax and be as big or as small as you want, like a puddle. This is also often referred to as a rebound. So after long held postures, we always want to take some time in a more neutral state. So for example, in the wide-legged child's pose that we just did, right, we did cut off a little bit of circulation to our feet, not to a point that's like dangerous. In fact, it can actually be like healthy or happy, right? We cut off a little bit of circulation to our feet, so that blood that would be pooling in the toes instead rushed towards the brain, right? Especially when the hips are a little higher than the head, so you get a nice rush of blood to the head as you stretch out the toes, ankles, knees, and hips. And then very much on purpose, we turn around and lie on our back so that that blood flow returns to the lower body, which can actually be really helpful for pushing through scar tissue. Often the release from a posture, especially a long held posture, is as therapeutic as the posture itself. That said, for some of us, lying flat on our back on a hard floor doesn't feel that great. You're not alone. If lying like this does not feel good, you are welcome to roll up a small blanket under your lower back, under your head, under your knees. You can also bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor and your knees rest side by side, especially if you have lower back pain in savasana or puddle pose. Bending the legs is a nice alternative to take pressure off of the lumbar spine. As you're ready, you're gonna roll off to one side. There's no rush. Place your hands on the floor and push yourself up. So one thing that I'm working on in my life is I'm kind of always in a rush. So in my yoga practice, I use this time to try to be in a little bit of less of a rush, like taking my time going in and out of postures. Next, we're gonna do what's called fire log pose. So the idea, I'm gonna demonstrate it to you and then I'm gonna talk you through it. You're gonna bend one leg. I'm gonna start by bending my left leg, and then you're gonna bend the other foot on top so that eventually right knee stacks on top of left ankle, right ankle stacks on top of left knee. So you can start just by bending that left leg so your ankle and knee are in line. And then as you're ready, you're gonna slowly cross your right ankle onto your left knee. Now for many folks, that's gonna look like this, right? Maybe the knee doesn't touch the ankle. I have pretty open hips. If this is your posture today, you are welcome to roll up mats, you're welcome to roll up pillows, towels, blankets between your knee and ankle. And if this is your posture today, this is also a really good space to be. You're starting to work the hip and knee joints, but you're not forcing the body, right? So you can be here, you can be here, you can be here. And if none of that feels good, maybe have bottom leg straight and just cross your right ankle on top of your left knee. And now it's kind of like a half position of that. Okay. From here, you can stay nice and tall upright, or you can start to put your hands on the floor and fold forward.
Now keep in mind there's 2 sides, and we're going to do both sides for about 2 minutes. If you'd like, you can keep your palms on the floor, or for a fun wrist stretch, you can try flipping your palms so that knuckles face the floor, palms face the ceiling. Some other variations of this wrist stretch would be to have the hands out to the side or fingers pointing towards you. And again, there's 2 sets, so maybe in one set, you point your fingers towards you with your palms on the floor, and on the other set, you point your fingers towards you with your knuckles on the floor. And if this is uncomfortable for your wrists, I am right there with you. Often when we think about yoga, maybe we think about an arm balancing posture, right? Or like a back bend. But yoga works out all the different parts of the body, even stuff like the wrists, the toes, the ankles. And sometimes these are the places that we actually overlook that have a lot of tightness, whether you're typing or texting or writing all day, maybe you're an artist or a hairstylist, right? Our wrists need some love. So this is a nice place here to relax the wrists. At the same time, in the lower body, you're getting a nice hip opener, right? You're working on mobility in the hips, knees, and ankles. You might also feel a stretch to your side seat, right? Your inner thighs. As you fold forward, you're getting a nice stretch to the lower back, but never a point of pain. We'll hold here for another 30 seconds. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension in your body or some worries or cares that are still kind of persisting in your mind. This is an invitation to let them go and breathe a little slower. Okay, as you're ready, you're gonna slowly sit up if you're folding forward. And it might feel good to shake out your fingers, maybe to clasp palms and do this, maybe a little bit of this action, right? Anything that feels good to your wrists after that stretch. Oh my goodness. And then you're gonna slowly uncross your legs and make your way onto your side for a side savasana. You can have one arm long, ear on your arm. Could also enlist the help of a pillow. Shout out to my fellow side sleepers. Just take a moment here, feeling one whole side of your body fully supported by the floor. So you're letting go of that tension in the wrists, right? Letting the hips and knees relax. Let your head be heavy. Just taking a few breaths here. If you ever find that you start to nod off during a yoga class, it would be my honor if you just fell asleep and took a nap during class. So please know that that is an alternative or an option during your class. Sometimes we need sleep. I've slept through many a yoga class. Notice what you're thinking about. If it's not pertaining to your class, to your restorative yoga journey, then just let it go. I've wasted a lot of time in yoga worrying about, something that's going to happen after class or thinking about something that happened earlier today. And what I've learned is holding those worries in my heart is actually really counterproductive, right? If I can just set those things aside, then actually we're able to come back with renewed energy, vision. As we become a little bit more compassionate towards ourselves, it's easier to become a little bit more compassionate towards those around us. Maybe approach, problems with a new set of eyes, a different perspective. Breathing in and slowly breathing out. As you're ready, take your time, pressing yourself up, finding your way back into a comfortable seated position. And we'll do the other side. So if you had your left leg crossed on bottom in the first set, you're going to do the opposite. So I'm going to bend my right leg so that my ankle and knee are in line. And then I'm going to try and place my left ankle on my right knee. And again, this side might feel a little or a lot different from the other side, right? Like on this side, my knee does not touch my ankle versus on the other side it did. And that is quite normal. So maybe on the other side, you know, you had to straighten one leg or the legs were like this, but on this side, right, maybe you're able to bend both legs. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Option to stay here. Remember, you can grab a prop for underneath your knee, under an ankle if you have tender ankles. And then as you're ready, you're going to fold forward. So you get this nice stretch to the outer left side seat. And have your hands on the floor pointing forward. I'm not going to lie, that last wrist stretch was really intense for me. I don't know if I need to do it on this side or not. But if you want to, maybe take another variation. Maybe bringing your fingers out to the side or in towards you. Maybe you just hold this for half the time and then you do a more passive wrist stretch for the other. Another option for those a little bit more side seat hip mobility, you can come down onto your forearms and just drop your head. So now it's a rounded spine posture. And while the lower body, right, has different components, like you want to do both sides of this posture for the lower body, the upper body, since it's not like we were stretching or twisting to one side, you can do something different on both sides, right? So we're stretching, opening through the left hip, the left side seat, working on knee, hip, ankle mobility, right? And maybe some wrist mobility, or maybe rounding the spine here. We're going to hold for another minute. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension in your body. And give your body permission to relax a little bit more, just through a slow exhale through your nose. Melt into your mat, sink into the posture, holding here for a few more slow breaths in and out through the nose, no rush. As you're ready, slowly lift your upper body up. If you were doing a wrist stretch and need to shake it out in any way, feel free. Any other movements that might feel good, now's a nice time to do that. And then slowly, you can use your hands, uncross your top foot, uncross your bottom leg, and then let's take the other side, Savasana. Again, you can have a pillow under your head, or anywhere else that might feel good to you. Or you can just have your ear resting on your forearm as you breathe through your nose. Sometimes I think as a culture, we're so hell-bent on productivity at all times that I even feel that in my yoga classes sometimes, like, how can I make the most of this time? How can I get the deepest stretch, do the most postures, take the longest breath?
And I'm then reminded that like this is productive. Rest is productive. And also, sometimes even we frame rest as take rest so that you can be better at your job, a better partner, a better parent. But actually, you're inherently worthy of rest. I also push back against the idea of like, I do yoga so that I'm a better coworker. No, you do yoga for yourself, right? And then sometimes an added benefit of that is that you're a better coworker or a better, friend or whatever that is. But you're doing it for yourself. And this doesn't need to be like the most productive hour of your day. It's just an hour of your day where you're giving yourself time to relax, to breathe. Going back to that question at the beginning of class of what it is that you're looking to restore, right? Whether it's joy or peace or just letting go of something that no longer serves you. As you're ready, you're going to slowly make your way back up to a seated position. And next, we're going to do a back bend that's supported with some everyday household props like pillows. So I have a big, long pillow that's so old that it folds very easily. So what you can do here is place some pillows. Well, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sit facing forward so that your hips are up to a pillow. From here, the idea is you want to place some pillows that are going to go under your middle and lower back, and then a pillow for your head to rest on. So maybe the pillows or blankets under your middle back are a little bit higher than the pillow for your head to rest on. Your head's not going to drop all the way off, but it's also going to be a little bit lower, so you get a back bend. From here, you're going to sit with your back to the pillows, and you're going to slowly find your way onto your back. I recommend having your butt down the whole time so that your hips are on the floor. And this might take a moment here to adjust your pillows so that you find a way that your head is supported, your chest is lifted. For this one, you can keep your knees bent with your feet on the floor, your knees resting together. Take your time here adding or subtracting pillows or moving them around as you see fit. And then whenever you're ready, you're just going to find some stillness. You can have your arms way out to the side, big open chest. You can have your arms down by your side, maybe placing your hands on your abdomen. There's no right or wrong. Just want to get a gentle supported back bend, gentle supported heart opener, not a point of pain. So again, back bends, even a supported back bend like this, can sometimes be a little stimulating to the nervous system. Back bends and hip openers can also release some tension or emotion in the body. And the first time I heard a yoga teacher say like back bends release emotion, I like rolled my eyes. I was like, what does that even mean? But now I understand a little bit more, like on a biological level, right? Like if you're running away from a bear, okay, what do? You like hunch forward, you tense forward, right, to protect the front of your body. Today, even though hopefully none of us have had to run from a bear, although Dan is in Tennessee, hopefully none of us have had to run from a bear. But let's say that our boss yells at us, we often still have that involuntary biological response to hunch forward, right? To tense the shoulders, to tuck the tailbone under. And that trauma, that involuntary response to trauma lives in our body. And so back bends can kind of release some of that. They can release that stress response. And it can feel a little or a lot intense when we're in them. But it also makes us feel a little bit lighter after class. So if you ever start to feel some kind of way in a back bend or a hip opener, like I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with you. Nobody's told you this yet today. There's nothing wrong with you. But there's also nothing wrong with you practicing the posture, right? Just might feel a little uncomfortable. We are going to hold here for another few minutes. Again, it's just meant to be a gentle, supported back bend. So even if you do feel your nervous system kick on a little bit. Maybe the temperature in your body changes, your heart rate increases a little bit. Just keep in mind how supported you are. Feel your feet on the floor, hips on the floor, right? Your head is supported, shoulders and back are supported. Just let the floor hold you up as you breathe in and out through your nose. So a lot of us growing up learned about the fight or flight response, right? When you're having an involuntary nervous system response, again, let's use the example of a bear running after you. Usually your body will kick into an option to run, right, or to fight. And recently there's been a third common term that's added to this, which is freeze, fight, flight, or freeze. And the freeze is like the lizard brain response, which is sometimes when something really scares you, you freeze. And I think in our culture, sometimes like we'd like to believe that we would fight first, flight second, and maybe freeze third. But for any of you that have ever had an experience like that, I hope you know, right, how involuntary it is, and that it's just our central nervous system doing its job. So for those of us that do carry trauma in our physical body, these back bends are also a way, I think, of releasing any sort of shame that you might have had around an involuntary nervous system response that you've had in your life, right? Whether it's to like a fight that you've been in, or just something scary that happened, or maybe you actually did see a bear and you chose to run away, right? In those moments, usually our body takes over and we don't have much of a choice. The other thing I know about bear attacks is that you can't actually process them until they're over. So, and this is true like of non-bear attack scary things too, right? Like if you, it's a common thing, right? Let's say you get your master's or your PhD and you're doing your dissertation and you're like up all night, you're not sleeping, and you get through it, and then the minute it's submitted, what happens? You get sick, right? Because your nervous system was like going. And when your body finally knew that it was safe to relax, all of that stuff that you'd been ignoring, right? All of those stresses kind of comes to a head. And so again, these back bends are a way, all of us have stresses in our life, and these back bends, these heart openers are a way to soothe the body, right? And to heal whatever that stress or that trauma is, right? Through the body. Breathing in and emptying out. Holding here for 1 more minute. If you need to add or remove a prop or adjust how you're back bending, please feel free. Otherwise, just finding a little bit more stillness. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension in your body. Let it go through the exhale breath. Let's take 3 more slow breaths here. Sometimes when I hear a teacher say 3 more breaths, I make the breaths really fast because then I'm like, oh, good, then we can come out earlier. But this is less about, like, oh, it's just 3 breaths, and more about just taking a few more moments just to be in your body, to be in your back bend. Breathing in slow and breathing out even slower. And the breath in, feel your chest rise. And the breath out, feel your chest fall. So we've been in this gentle back bend for a while. Let's talk about strategies for how to safely come out of it. Depending on how many pillows you have underneath you, you might just be able to push yourself off or roll off to one side, or you can push your feet down, squeeze your butt, lift your hips up, and remove a pillow or multiple pillows from underneath your back so that now your back is on the floor. You can keep your head resting on a pillow or also remove the pillow from underneath your head. And now we're back in our puddle pose savasana. Just let that posture go. Feel the ground beneath you and let the floor hold you up. Sometimes the posture itself is intense, but sometimes for whatever reason, the release from the posture is even more intense. So if you feel a surge of anything, whether it's like an urge to cry or laugh or whatever that is, that's normal. And also, if you didn't feel much of the posture or you don't feel much now, that's also really normal. Again, the point of this yoga is not like to get the deepest stretch. The point is to get to know ourselves a little bit better and to relax a little bit deeper. And sometimes part of that journey of getting to know ourselves better, of trusting our own lived experience, is to say, you know what, that posture didn't really do it for me today. And that's okay too. All you have to do is breathe. After that back bend, that supported heart opener, we're gonna do a posture with props again, where our legs are a little bit higher than our head. So you're gonna take your time. If you're rolling off to one side, finding your way back up. And this time, you're gonna take as many pillows or blankets as you want and put them towards where your legs will go. And the idea here is just that our feet are gonna be a little bit higher than our head, which helps to calm down the nervous system. Okay. As you're ready, you're going to kind of scoot your butt up towards your blanket, your mound of blankets and pillows. You can keep the knees bent here, and then just make your way onto your back. And you can add or remove pillows as you see fit. So I'm going to add another one because why not? It's Tuesday, go crazy. And then make your way onto your back again, right? And have your arms out to the side, down by your side. Maybe cross bend your arms so that you have one hand over your heart, one hand over your abdomen. Relax your jaw. Just take a nice slow breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Notice where you might be holding on to tension in your body. Or maybe just that persistent, thought in the back of your mind, or that feeling that's still there, right? Just notice that and just let it go. And sometimes, to be honest, even in a yoga class, if I notice like, wow, I'm holding tension in my hip, or I can't stop thinking about that one thing from my to-do list, right? Sometimes we can't let it go. And that's where I invite you, first of all, to practice the same way that, you want to practice balancing on one leg. You also want to practice, letting go of unhealthy thought patterns or obsessive thought patterns. You want to practice letting go of unnecessary tension in your body. And also sometimes it can be helpful if you can't let something go, just to use your imagination to think about what it might feel like to let it go. So if you can't let go of the tension in your hamstrings right now, just imagine what it might feel like to let it go. Or if you can't let go of that conversation you had earlier today that didn't go how you wanted it to, just imagine what it might feel like to empty your mind of that. So we've talked about fight and flight, and then, the other term that's been added to that recently is freeze, right? Fight, flight, or freeze response. But there's actually a fourth term that I recently read about that I thought was really great. So again, it's an involuntary response to stress. So it's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, like FAWN, like a doe, fawn. And the idea of fawn is that for some of us in a stress response, we become like people pleasers, or we try to like talk our way out of it, right? Or like be really nice, or like charm our way out of the situation. And that can also be an involuntary response. So the same way that you might fight or freeze or run from something, from a confrontation, you also might fawn over that confrontation, right? Try to like please your way out of the situation. And that also doesn't feel so good, I think, and can lead to some unhealthy boundaries. So just keep that in mind as your body starts to release stress from the body. As your body starts to release some stress, right? From the body, from the heart, from the mind. That could also come out as well. This idea of like, I have to make this posture look exactly like the person next to me, or like my teacher, or I need to do the nth degree of this posture, or I need to make, go as deep into this posture as I did the last time, even though right now it doesn't feel good. You want to let go of your desire to fawn the same way that you're letting go of that fight, flight, or freeze. Breathing in, breathing out. We'll hold here for one more minute. Inhale, feel your abdomen rise. Exhale, feel your abdomen fall. On the breath in, feel your ribs gently expand. On the breath out, notice your ribs gently contracting. Let's talk about how to come out of this. There's no one right answer. You might bend your legs even more, hug your thighs in towards your chest, and kick your pillows out of the way. You might also roll off to one side, or one by one, remove pillows and blankets. And then arms and legs down, back into your savasana. Last postures of the day are spine twists meant to reset your back. I always like to end class with spine twists, and so I just think they're really great for back health, and sometimes we don't give them enough credit. So for today's spine twist, you're going to bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor, and then you're going to start to let your knees drop to the right. And from here, if you'd like, you can place your right ankle on top of your left knee. Right ankle on top of left knee. Try to keep your left shoulder on the floor. So this is a really gentle spine twist. You can have your arms out to the side or bent cactus like goalposts. you're ready, you can start to lift your left hip off the floor. You're welcome to place pillows under your knees, under your ankles. If crossing your right ankle on top of your left knee is not accessible or does not feel good, uncross and just have left knee on top of right knee, left foot on top of right foot, left hip on top of right hip, left shoulder on the floor. Your head on the floor, take a breath. So especially for folks who work at a desk all day, or, in the last year, a lot of us have been on a laptop on our couch, in a bed, in weird places in our homes. All that hunching forward, again, doesn't feel good over time. And by now you might have figured out that it feels good from time to time in your day to stand up, put your hands on your back and do a little back bend. But it can also be really helpful, just to twist your back. So even if you can't do a full yoga class every day, make sure that you're standing up, doing some back bends, doing some spine twists throughout your day to relieve tension in your back. Notice where you might be holding on to tension. And just let it go through the exhale breath. So body gets a little heavier. As you're ready, you're going to slowly roll your left glute back to the floor. Your legs are crossed, uncross the legs, feet, knees on the floor. And this time, roll to your left. So again, you can keep your knees stacked, one on top of the other, right hip on top of left hip, right leg on top of left leg, or you can bring the left leg up, cross your left ankle over your right thigh, and now you might feel a little bit more of a side seat stretch as well. Try to keep your right shoulder down. Relax through your forehead, your jaw. Sometimes we hold tension in obvious places like our shoulders or our chest, but sometimes we hold tension in unexpected places. Like I find my forearms hold a lot of tension. You might find that the arches of your feet are tight. If you're holding tension in your pelvic floor or your pinky fingers, whatever that is. So maybe just scan your body here, just noticing you might be still holding on to something. Just let it go through the exhale breath. As you're ready, you're going to slowly roll your left seat back down, arms and legs down, final savasana, final puddle pose. Now remember that you're doing this from home, nobody's watching, and there's no gold stars. Make your final savasana your own. If you'd like to place a pillow under your head, if you'd like to place a blanket over your body, maybe place a pillow under your feet, whatever that is, get as bougie as you want, make it your own, and take a breath. And once you've taken one breath, take another breath. Sometimes the same way that we just have to put one foot in front of the other, we also just have to put one breath in front of the other. And I find, especially in times where my mind really starts to run away from my body, I just take a moment to feel my body move with my breath, right? Like your chest is rising and falling, your ribs are expanding and contracting, right? We just take a moment to focus on the breath. And all of a sudden, things become a little bit more manageable. Maybe not perfect, probably never will be perfect, but just a little bit more manageable, right? And that's the goal. Going back to that idea of restoring whatever it is that can use a little extra love. It's not about perfection, it's about practice. And in fact, for many of us, it's about letting go of perfection. All you have to do is breathe. Take an inhale through your nose, feel your chest rise. Exhale through your nose, let your shoulders fall. Yesterday did what it did. Tomorrow's going to do what it does. But just for now, let yourself be here with your breath. Stay in your body for as long as you'd like. And know that these embodied practices are always here for you whenever you could just use a few breaths. You can stay in your final Savasana for as long as you'd like. When it is time to leave, make sure that you're drinking a lot of water tonight, especially all of us who are in very hot areas of the country right now. Drink lots of water, drink lots of water, drink lots of water. Hope to see you all soon. Bye, friends.